Overall, Mark, let me get a little pulse. How are you feeling in general?
Feeling good. This is the best the vibes have been in many years, so I'm riding with that. The only thing bringing me down is, I'm sure we'll get into it. I don't see too much of a way forward at the moment. I think we're kind of our feet are in the sand with Randall and Tibbs a little bit, but other than that, things have never been better.
Love to hear it. This is gonna be a little tough podcast because we got two little Eastern Conference foes with me, with Anthony and Mark, but the Celtics and Knicks. But we're gonna get right into it. Talk about last season. The Knicks, they finished 47-35. Lost in 6 games to the Heat in the second round after beating the Cavs in 5 games in the first round. Overall, pretty impressive season. I mean, almost hit the 50-game mark. Great seasons from guys like Brunson, Randall. Obviously, he was All-NBA third team. And at the deadline, big acquisition, got Josh Hart for honestly nothing at all. It was basically a pick that became Chris Murray and whatever is left of Cam Reddish.
So I thought it was a lot more at the time. Knicks fans were pretty emotional about that. It turns out we were wrong about that one.
Yeah, I mean, Cam Reddish is what everyone thinks like is going to be this like problem solver to their team, and then he's a free agent the next offseason.
Yeah.
So overall, I mean, pretty good last season. If in my opinion, going into that season, if I were a Knicks fan, I probably would have been very happy with that. Don't want to speak for you, Mark.
No, I'm really happy, and I think the record even sounds lower than what it felt like, and I think that was because we spent a fourth of the season still trying the Fournier Rose experiment, and once that ended, once Tibbs kind of woke up and realized that Fournier Rose should not be part of this team, I don't know the exact numbers, but the record is night and day. I think we were roughly 500 before that, and things really took off after that. So I mean, I think that record is at the expense of some pretty poor personnel for, third or a fourth of the season.
Absolutely.
Oh,
no, I definitely
100%. And we get our classic every single offseason, Evan Fournier turning into the best player of all times in international play is always something nice to have on the side. But definitely, Mark, I'm with you just in terms of the overall vibe of the Knicks. Anytime the Knicks are a great team, it's so good for the league. So excited to watch that Heat Knicks series. They were so tough to kind of pick who's going to come out on top. So very, very excited for your team. Welcome to the near upper echelons of the Eastern Conference, baby.
Thank you. And I think I was maybe a little harsh initially because while I do think going from near upper echelon to like really upper echelon, I think we're a little far from that. I really can't see us slipping too much, like we're locked in pretty good. There were no crazy moves this offseason. I think after we had that good year in 2021 where we, made to the playoffs and lost to the Hawks, I think our future success was contingent on a lot of ifs, and I don't really see it that way right now. But we'll check in next offseason and see if we can't find a way to screw it up.
No, definitely. And honestly, it was like a pretty great offseason, in my opinion. You get DiVincenzo, 4 years, $47 million. It is a contract that's escalating. So it starts at 11 mil, ends at 12.5, but that's not not really increasing that much. Not a huge deal. Probably the biggest move for, I think, Knicks fans might have been the Obi Toppin trade in terms of just pulling at the heartstrings. You guys get 2 second rounders, the worst of 2 team second rounders in 27 and 28, I believe, from the Pacers. But after this trade, this does leave the Knicks at around 167 million in total salary. The tax line this year is 165 million. Really not spending that much in tax. Obviously, McBride, they pick up his team option. Josh Hart signs another 4-year extension after opting into his player option, kind of bringing his contract around the 5-year, 90 million range that Duncan Robinson also signed for a few years back. So overall, I thought it was a great offseason, frankly.
Yeah. And we're working on stuff with Quickly too. I wouldn't quite say it was a great offseason for a couple reasons. The Obi going out, Dante coming in, that's kind of the opposite of the problem with the team. Like, we had very little depth at the 4 and a crowded, situation at the 1 and the 2. We got rid of our backup 4 and we brought in another point guard who, like, I see Dante's path to playing when someone goes down hurt, unless we're losing time for one of the guys I want in there. I'm really happy with the Josh Hart contract. I get that. And what I think my biggest knock is, I feel like I was very comfortable with a Knicks offseason where we did something like this and just didn't make any big moves. But the more I think about it, like, Jalen Brunson has shown championship point guard level play now, right? And he's on, you talked about Dante with the ascending contract. He's on a descending contract. And he's 26. He's not picking up that player option. We got 2 more years of him, and then he's going to get a huge bag. Like, while the finances are good, like, now for me felt the time to do something big. I also can't really tell you what that is because there wasn't a lot on the free agency market. I feel like when Brunson becomes a free agent, we'll either re-sign him for a lot of money or we'll lose him, and then all of a sudden it gets complicated again. So that was my gripe. I don't think it was a horrible or great offseason either way, but I think Leon's done us pretty right for the last few years. And when you're getting a Josh Hart at the deadline, when you're re-signing your guys, you don't need to have a huge offseason.
Yeah, Anthony, I want to swing it over to you. I feel like this team, this Knicks team, honestly, kind of reminds me of, I don't want to stretch it too far, but the Celtics in terms of when they subtracted Kyrie and Hayward. Honestly, it just helped a lot of development elsewhere because more responsibility was put on the younger guys. Then obviously you trade Toppin and you trade him away, which is a younger guy you would have liked to have given responsibility to. But I kind of see this being a little bit of a lot of addition by development rather than addition by player moves because you guys have a lot of players already.
Yeah, the potential plus of losing Obi is spacing. And in an era of positionless basketball, you can get away with maybe a few 6'4" guys on the court at the same time. And, Dante playing next to RJ probably opens the court up a little more, stuff like that. And then also the other potential plus side is this could totally be a Cam Reddish situation. And whatever it was Tibbs had been seeing in practice, they see it. The same thing in Indiana, and it doesn't work out. I think my big problem with it was Obi only showed promise when he was given minutes. Like, it was only positive when he really got a run. And Randall has showed significant signs of fatigue by being the most heavily played minutes player of the league every year, and he's burnt and injured by every playoffs. And then the guy behind him only plays well when you give him minutes. So I just that seems like a blown opportunity for me. It's not like you can't say we gave Obi every shot and he just couldn't make the most of it, or give him one more year. We never gave him a run, and the few times we did, he looked great. But we'll see. Maybe the schematics work better with him off the court. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all fair. I did like a lot of what Obi was doing later on in the season. He was definitely a really good temperature control for the team. That being said, I think where you guys stand is such a good position that so many NBA teams would kind of kill to have right now, especially with the descending contract in Jalen Brunson. I think the big thing for you guys is RJ Barrett, who's balling right now for Canada. How's his development looking? And then Jalen Brunson fitting in with Josh Hart, the Villanova boys playing well together. Emmanuel quickly, can he develop continuously? Quentin Grimes, how's that look? I think that's kind of your core. You got to figure out the Julius Randle situation. Don't hate your backups in your centers in Mitch Robinson, Isaiah Hartenstein, even though you do lose some size. This feels a lot like, if I'm going to hop to Max's Celtics comparison, for me it's always been Tatum, Jalen. Everything else is ancillary. So for y'all, it's nice, like you referred to, Jalen Brunson. I don't know if I have quite championship level player at the moment. I could see Eastern Conference Finals pushing leader, best team, sneaky run. But other than that, dude, I feel like you guys are in a great spot. And to be in the position to think about the role player situation says a lot about where your team is right now, because you're not shooting for the stars, even though it'd be nice. We'd love a James Harden hypothetically. Or would we?
5 years ago, yeah.